Welcome to the channel. My name is Franco, and today in the workshop, I will finally be liberating my Honda HSS. This involves getting rid of that pesky collar around the base of the chute. This new chute design is catching a lot of long-time and dedicated Honda owners by surprise. I do have a separate video which I will link right above here. In the video, I will demonstrate how I purposely set the machine up to clog, as well as explain the conditions that it happens in. I also explain how you can totally avoid it. So it's worth checking out that video first and to see exactly what happens with the factory collar in place. So because I'm used to the performance of a previous generation Honda machine, which is known for their epic ability to discharge heavy wet snow, including slush, without clogging, it only makes sense for me to take my HSS and to bring it to that same level of performance. So let's go check out the machine and I'll show you exactly how I plan on carrying out the modification. Alright guys, so here's my Honda HSS1332ATD, and I've made some videos already covering some of the other things you see on this machine, such as the drift breaker kit and the front housing skid shoes. I have also upgraded this machine with Oxford heated grips, which are a huge benefit of having on this machine because it's as you guys might know, that Hondas don't have heated grips from the factory. But let's get to the point of the video, which is this right here. This is the collar in question, and in order to remove it, you have to grind out the 4 welds. There's 2 on each side, so there's one here on the top, one on the bottom, and the same thing on the other side. So once you grind off these welds with a cutoff wheel, this should pop right off. I will be removing the chute from the machine in order to do this modification. So in order to make this task a little bit easier, I will take the upper portion of the chute off. It's as simple as releasing this spring from the mount, taking out these 2 cotter pins, then backing off this nut right here, so that way you can break loose this cable. And then the last step is to pull out this pin where the upper part articulates and pivots. Once you take this out, the whole upper part is going to come right off, and then I'm just going to put it right to the side. That way I can work with just the lower part of the chute. There is a washer there, you don't want to lose that. For this, you're going to need 2 12mm wrenches. I'm just going to unthread the top one and try to keep the bottom one at that same length. So in order to pull this off, you have to spread the sides a little bit and then kind of release it from that pivot point. So the nuts at the bottom are also 12 millimeter. So as simple as that, 3 nut and bolts that hold the lower part of the chute in place. Now we can break this loose from the rotating base of the machine. Alright, so now it's time to cut out the welds and to get rid of this collar once and for all. So here is the collar off the chute. I'm so glad I took the chute off the machine because it was much easier to get in there when I had it at like kind of waist level, and I could position it any which way I wanted and really get in there with the cutoff wheel to make my plunge cuts. I'm not sure how you would do this on the machine because it would be extremely difficult, I think. And you would probably end up damaging the chute because you can't see what you're doing. So I highly recommend taking the chute off the machine. That way you don't mess things up, if you plan on doing this yourself. So that's the end of the collar. See you later. And here is the modified chute. As you can see, I ground down the welds and then I hit it with the flap wheel with the Dremel tool. And I made it nice and flush to the surface. No raised portions, it's all nice and smooth. Both sides, same thing. You really have to get those welds out of there because you don't want to leave them there. You don't want to end up snagging on everything and then leave it sharp. So if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right, and that way you don't have any problems in the future. So now this is ready for paint. I have to just clean the inside of this with some alcohol. And then I can go ahead and repaint the whole inside of the chute. So this is the paint I'll be using. It's the factory Honda Power Equipment paint. This is called Power Red. This is the stuff they use in all the modern power equipment, and it should match exactly the paint that's on the machine right now. I decided to get the Honda stuff because just in case I want to touch anything up in the future, it's a good thing to have this on hand. So I might as well just use the proper stuff and make it look just right, make it look factory. Alright guys, so we're back at it the next day. I gave the chute 12 hours to fully dry, and it looks pretty good. I'm really happy with the coverage. I only did the inside, I did not touch the outside, and I'm glad I only did that because I don't know if you can tell, but here is the original paint color that's on the machine, and this paint does not really match up 100%. It's close. Okay, as you can see, it matches the outside of the chute, but this power red does not match the original red that's on the machine. It has a little more orange in it than just a straight, like, deep red. I'm not sure if this is just because of maybe it was exposed to more sunlight than this paint has, but I guess time will tell to see if it comes into this color. But this has a lot more orange in it. I mean, you can probably tell by just looking at that on the camera. Not sure if the camera picks it up, but I can definitely see it with the naked eye. And it's not just this piece, it's actually the rest of the machine as well. It's the same color. But it's close enough, and I'm really happy with the results I have here. So let's get this on the machine now, and I'll show you the reassembly process. It's very simple, and let's get this machine back in operation. So even though I removed that collar, this chute still has plenty of strength and stiffness and still keeps its form. This steel that this is made out of is heavy gauge steel. It's twice the thickness of any snowblower you would find at Home Depot or Lowe's. So now the chute's in place. I greased up the rotating mechanism. Now it's just time to reattach the upper portion of the chute and get everything back together. So one cotter pin goes back up on the upper mount for the link of the articulating head. boat anchor shape with the legs of the cotter pin. That way it will stay retained in the position. Next I will use a spring puller to put the spring back in place. And the very last step is going to be the cable. So you first put the cable back on and then you feed over the flat washer. Then followed by that cotter pin that's going to hold everything together. Then you just want to replace the boot seal on the end of the cable. All right, there we go. All right, so there it is. We're all done. Everything's back assembled. Everything's tightened up and looks like we're ready to go. So really quick, I want to mention something that I just remembered. I came across some people modifying this machine online, you know, modifying the collar. And what they're doing is shortening the collar and grinding out the welds, pulling the collar out, and then re-welding it further out. And supposedly it's supposed to help. But I don't see how that's going to help whatsoever because the collar's still there, okay? We know for a fact that machines prior to this generation of HSS are just like the way you see it here. The whole base of the chute is open. So having a collar there, really, even a shortened one, has always the potential of slush and snow building up on the inside here. So there's already a shelf. There's already a shelf here, flat, all the way around this opening that discharges the snow. So why go through all that effort just to still have a collar on this machine? To me, it doesn't make any sense. So if you go through the effort of removing the collar and grinding out the welds, keep the thing off the machine. There's no point of re-welding it further out, ½ inch, just to get some extra clearance on the inside there, just the hope that the stuff blows by and blows everything out of that collar area. If you encounter super heavy slush, wet stuff, you know, slop, it's going to stick there no matter what. It'll stick to any surface because it has a sticky nature. So depending on the, the region of the United States or the world you're in, some might have more powdery snow that they have to deal with, which is not a problem at all. You could leave the collar on there. If you only deal with that kind of snow, that's a piece of cake. It's the stuff like here in New England, we get a mix of everything. Powder, we get heavy stuff, everything in between. Then we get, straight sleet and, we get everything here in New England. So we see a lot of different conditions. So really quick, I'm going to touch on what's underneath this cover right here and talk about how removing that collar does not affect the chute motors whatsoever. Some people might be worried about water intrusion or water ingress, But that's not possible because Honda already designed this machine with drainage in mind. So I already removed all the 6 bolts holding this top cover on, and I'm going to pull it right off now and show you exactly what it looks like and how you should not be worried. So first of all, I can show you here that there's a channel just like a gutter all the way around this hood, which will pour out to the right side of the machine. So if we take a closer look here, we have 2 chute motors, one for the elevation and one for the rotation. And around the chute here, Honda has built a drain system, which is right back here, and it pours out to the left side of the machine here. I'll show you this in detail in just a moment, but there's already a drain built into the back here, and when you have the cover installed on the machine, it actually laps over this drain. So whatever is building up on that inside of that channel here where the chute is, if it's slush or rain or whatever, it'll feed down into this little gutter system here and pour out the side. So same thing for the front here. You have gravity working with you here. Everything is elevated. All these motors and brackets and wires are elevated off the surface of the impeller housing. The impeller housing being round helps everything drain off to each side. So you have no potential of anything standing and sitting causing bad connections or corrosion or anything, because Honda already designed this machine with drainage in mind. The hood sheds all the snow off the machine, off to the sides. Nothing will really build up on the inside channel here when you have the hood installed, because as you rotate the chute, it's going to drag all that stuff, that material out of there. So I find it hard to believe that the collar I just removed is to prevent water intrusion or water ingress to the motors. For you to get water into these motors, you have to shoot water horizontally via hose or pressure washer in order to get into here. Everything's going to dry out. Everything is open at the bottom here. When you have the hood on here, it actually still has plenty of gap on the sides where the airflow is present. So nothing is completely sealed. Okay, everything's going to dry out as soon as you put the machine away. So I'll give you guys a close-up shot of this. That way you can see everything in detail. Okay, this is the little gutter drain that's located in the back of the chute. And everything is elevated, as you can see. It has the chance to fully drain out if anything were to make its way through here. Okay? When you have the hood installed, there's literally a gap that's 1/32 of an inch, tall. I mean, in order for you to get anything through there, it would have to be at high pressure, high velocity. So all the stuff coming out of the chute is going to be forced upwards and out. We're not talking about horizontal force here. That's the only way you would get water intrusion into here, is to have horizontal force coming from this left side or the right side, okay? So I just don't see water intrusion happening. There's not enough of a gap for anything, any consistency of snow to work its way through here and to have substantial amount of effect on anything in here. Okay, it's just, if anything gets in here, it's just going to fall right through here and then end up rolling off this surface here of the impeller housing. The viscosity of slush is not going to make it through that gap, and I will install the hood back on here and I'll show you firsthand on the other side what it looks like. So this is what it looks like on the other side. You have the drain right here, okay? You can see daylight there. And they already built this machine with drainage in mind. So water intrusion is not what that collar is trying to solve. So another possible reason they included a collar on the chute of this machine on the HSS line is because they redesigned the light on the snowblower. They pushed it forward a little bit, and it's lower now than it used to be. The older Hondas had it kind of up here, and it was sitting a lot higher and further back. And since this chute can actually rotate back on itself in either direction by about 10 degrees or so, what's going to happen possibly if you're picking up a lot of gravel or a lot of pebbles, when you have this chute turned this way, it could actually damage the light and start hitting this part of the housing. So that's another reason why I think they have that collar there, but I just don't see that happening though. From my experience, the snow gets discharged at such a high rate and at such a high velocity that it sticks to the back of the chute and it never has a chance to come forward at all, unless you're talking about slush. Sometimes you'll have some slush that pops out the front instead of riding the back side of the chute. And I want to show you guys exactly how small of a gap we're talking about when you have the hood in place. There's no way possible that the viscosity and the consistency of slush is going to make its way through that tiny 1/32 gap there. Okay? The only thing that's going to make it through there is thin water. And if you have any water buildup, it doesn't matter because gravity's on your side and it's just going to drain off the machine and then eventually it's going to dry out. It's never going to build up on the inside where the motors sit. Like I said, everything's elevated, so there's no potential for anything to happen to them. So really quick, I want to show you guys what you can do if you're really worried about water ingress and you really want to close off that gap. So like I said, there's a natural gutter built into this. There's a groove all the way around this hood in the spot where the chute will sit. So you can also put some wire loom or some 5/16 ID fuel hose attached to the inside of this lip to give you extra material along the bottom and to create a better seal. So if you go that route, you want to make sure you don't use too thick of a hose like this 5/8 heater hose, which does not work because it's too thick. Once applied to this edge here, it closes off the clearances needed for the chute to rotate. The nuts off the back of the chute actually stick out quite a bit, so those are going to rub and end up, you know, moving this thing around and then might jam up. So if you're going to go this route, go with something thin and low profile. Okay, plastic edging does not work because underneath here there's not enough of a lip for it to grab onto. So what I found is this right here, this wire loom works perfect. You can literally just put this on here. Just like that. If you're really worried, you could have a little something extra just to give you a little extra of a barrier underneath this hood. But I honestly don't think it's needed. I'm going to run the machine just like Honda designed it. And this little channel here, this little groove, is to shed water. And I want it to work just the way it's intended. Well guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any further questions or comments, please place them down below. And don't forget to hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.